Los de adelante corren mucho y los de atrás se quedarán. Rosalba looked down through the trees to see a girl, dressed plainly in a tan jacket and pants. Her light hair curled like the tendrils of chayote squash. She wasn't a Mayan, but a ladina girl. She sat on the bank, tossing rocks into the water, singing, "Tras, tras, tras." Rosalba watched from behind a tree, her hands against the rough bark. Whenever she went with Mama to market, she saw Ladinos and other foreigners. Ladinos were rich. They drove cars and watched televisions and enjoyed many different kinds of food, including ice cream. Ladina girls wore pretty clothes and hair ornaments. Rosalba had always wondered about those tall, light-skinned people, but had never spoken to any. Never had she seen one so close to her village. Just then, the girl turned and cried out, "Hola!" She raised her hand. "I see you behind the tree." Rosalba hesitated, then stepped out. "Hola," she said. "Sit here!" The girl's voice rang over the sounds of the river. She touched the ground beside her. As Rosalba moved forward on the soft pine needles, the dog scampered into the trees. Reaching the edge of the pool, she settled herself near the girl. The girl looked at her with eyes as green as the moss growing on the trees. The ladina's curls were fastened with a butterfly clip covered with sparkles. Rosalba wanted to reach out and touch that shiny barrette, those light curls. The girl's fingernails were painted bright pink. She'd been building a tiny house of twigs and pine needles. "Don't be afraid," she said. "My name's Alicia. What's yours?" "Rosalba." "I'm from Mexico City," Alicia announced, throwing a stone into the pool. "I'm 8. The girl came from the far-off big city that Rosalba had heard about. In town, she'd seen pictures of that place, where buildings touched the clouds. There was a market, where people floated on boats filled with sweet-smelling tuberoses. In Mexico City, you could get on an airplane and lift off into the sky itself. Mexico City was an important place to come from. But that this Alicia was a year younger than she made Rosalba feel braver. "What are you doing here?" "I'm on an expedition with Papi and other scientists. They're studying frogs, and I'm helping." "Did you know that frogs are disappearing from the planet?" Alicia stretched her arms wide, the pink fingernails gleaming. "From everywhere! They're dying off." Rosalba fiddled with the edge of her shawl. Sometimes her brothers caught frogs for the family cooking pot. They hadn't mentioned there being any fewer. "There's a frog right there," she said, as a small brown one leaped from one mossy rock to another. "I didn't say they'd all disappeared, but a lot. They're sick with a fungus. Frog die-off is so important that Papi said I could miss school if I do research with him and write a report." Rosalba, who had never written anything, changed the subject. "How do men study frogs?" "They catch them in traps, but not the kind that kill them." She shook her head and gestured, accidentally knocking over the miniature house. The twigs and pine needles fell every which way, but the girl didn't seem to mind. "You're a real Mayan, aren't you?" she asked. Rosalba nodded. "Of course I am." "What else?" "Papi said I'd meet some real Mayan people. He said you Mayans would know all about the prophecy of the year 2012. Rosalba wrinkled her forehead. "You know, when the Mayan calendar ends, after thousands and thousands of years, it stops just like that." Alicia snapped her fingers, her bright fingernails flashing. "I know about the Mayans from a long time ago. Foreigners come to see their pyramids. But I don't know anything about a calendar." "You're a Mayan, but you don't know?" asked the ladina, tilting her head.